Hello, everyone. This is Rabbi Ari Sachs of Congregation Beth Mordechai coming to you with today's video counting of the Omer, and we're going to get straight to the teaching for this 41st day of the Omer, which corresponds to the Kabbalistic counting of Yesod, sheb'Y'sod, a foundation within foundation. I will now turn to the teaching from Rabbi Min Kantrowitz's book, Counting the Omer, a Kabbalistic Meditation Guide. Each component of a building's foundation requires a foundation structure of its own. If made of stone, each stone is composed of crystals arranged one upon another. The chemical composition of the crystal remains stable, and the molecules and atoms within each chemical behave predictably. Because each component rests reliably on the next, a stone remains a stone, and the component parts do not rearrange themselves to become cabbage or mud or even bubblegum. This is Yesod sheb'Y'sod, foundation within foundation. Yesod sheb'Y'sod recognizes that there is invisible support under the building blocks of the world. We call that support God. I think that the critical part of this teaching comes at the very end, in which Rabbi Kantrowitz labels the kind of support that is like the crystals upon the stone that makes the stone stable, that the support within the support, the foundation within the foundation, is what we call to be God. Now, she doesn't go into any depth in terms of what does it really mean with God when we say the word God. But when I read it, I found it striking in the sense that it resonated with me, that it didn't need to necessarily go into much depth because I think I understood what she was referring to. Meaning that as soon as we get into understanding what God is, then we get into all these different debates about God's existence, about God's power, and we can get into conversations that don't really relay the kind of meaning that she's trying to relate to at this point in time, which is that however we define what God is, if God is supposed to be meaningful for us, then it is the foundation stone upon which we rely, upon which we build our lives. Meaning that if we simply talk about God as this being that is out there, or even if we debate God's particular existence, then we are putting God into a place whereby we're seeing that God is over here, there, and we're over here. And then the conversation can actually be relatively irrelevant, or you could even say that it's only philosophical in nature, where we're simply just debating about what God is. That rather the real merit of God is to see God as part of our lives, in which case it really doesn't matter exactly what God is, except for the fact that God is our foundation. So whether we see that foundation is simply values, meaning love, kindness, compassion, understanding, strength. You can even say all these different terms for the Omer are in many ways aspects of God, or as values of God, or that we see God's power as in controlling our lives, as in dictating to us what happens in our lives. No matter what we understand God to be, if God is to have any value whatsoever, it has to be that foundation stone upon which we build all that is our lives. And if we read Rabbi Kantrowitz's words and we understand God to be that kind of support, then I think it speaks to our ability to see God as being that strength from which we can draw. Meaning that when we build the life that we want to build, we have to feel that there is something upon which we are building that is totally stable, that we can turn to in moments of pain, in moments of triumph, in moments of need, and to know that it is there and it is going to support us. In the fact that we are creating the foundation for all that is that we're going to build in life, that foundation has to have something which is even more stable than what we build, because we know that any foundation that we build is simply human and is infallible and can fall apart. And yet in order to be able to go through that building process, we have to know that there is something perhaps eternal, perhaps unmovable, perhaps simply always present, that will be able to give any kind of foundation we give some stability. Personally, I find that term to be meaningful. We can have many more conversations upon how that's meaningful for me and how that's meaningful for you. But the real question, the real point that I think Rabbi Kantrowitz is making is God your foundation for whatever it is that you want to build in this world? Is God the foundation upon which we can build all foundations? And with that question, with that kavanah, that intention in mind, let us turn to counting the Omer for this day of foundation within foundation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. We praise you, Adonai, our God, master of time and space, whose commandments add holiness to our lives, who commanded us to count the Omer. Hayom echad ve'arba'im yom, shehem chamisha shavuot ve'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is day number 41. The day of Yesod sheb'Y'sod, a foundation within foundations of the Omer. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me for today's counting. We'll see you with the next counting tomorrow. Take care and all the best. Bye-bye.